around. Only 16 assists in game 3. That's a problem.
Number 2, Jalen Williams. Points and assists, 26.5 more.
This is another one where I would look to the over. He really got going in game 3. You look at the shooting percentages, you look at the options, and again, it comes down to the fact that OKC, like in game 1, didn't pass the ball enough. 13 assists in game 1. They bounced back with 25 in game 2. There's going to be an emphasis on that. That's going to get Williams more options, and I think on the road in a crucial game 4, he's going to be crashing the glass.
All right, so this is one we've kept an eye on throughout the entire series. Tyrese Halliburton, 17.5 points, more or less.
This is less. As good as he has looked, and he can look great tonight, he's not a guy who's going to go out and drop 30 or 35. I think there's going to be an increased emphasis on keeping him out of the paint. He had too much free access in game 3, and as a result, it got everything going. Lou Dort steps up in this game. We limit Halliburton, who had a fantastic game 3, and we go under 17.5 points.
All right, so to recap, we're going with SGA, more than 47.5 points, rebounds, and assists. More than 26.5 points and assists for Jalen Williams.
Boom.
And under 17.5 points for Halliburton.
Also, boom.
If you like these plays, we've parlayed them together on ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Look for the more or less featured parlay on the homepage. And in that parlay lounge, welcome back to our lounge here. Monica and Alan with us. All right, so Monica, plain and simple, is this a must-win for the Thunder?
It is. Excuse me. When you just look at the math at this point, Matt, and for as great as the Thunder defense has been historic this season, in fact, the Pacers offense has really put them in a jam. And so if they do not win tonight, the Thunder that is, do you expect that they will go on to win 3 in a row versus a Pacers team that they have been challenged by? I'm not going to say struggle because this is a great finals matchup, but I do not expect them to rattle off 3 in a row. So, yes, tonight's a must-win.
A must-win for all the reasons that Monica talked about. First of all, the Pacers haven't lost consecutively. Like you have to put them on a losing streak that they haven't had since March. Like, they just win. Every time they lose a game, they win the next game. They have been on that kind of heater that we just don't want to accept because the Pacers aren't making the headlines throughout the regular season. They don't have really big-time star players. But they're a really good team and a really deep team. The Thunder have to get back in this series, and they have to do it tonight. Otherwise, the series is over.
Yeah.
And this will be one of the biggest upsets we've seen in the NBA Finals. When you consider, and Joe, you know this better than anybody, consider what Vegas was saying before the series
plus 700.
If you put some money down on the Pacers.
OKC plus 500.
Oh, my
I'll
goodness.
handle the sports betting. Thank you very much.
I just regret bringing him into the conversation, Matt.
It set up a great opportunity, though, Han. You should feel good about that. Good host.
So, but are we now, as this series goes on, are we now seeing how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is?
I think it's two things. It's Carlisle and it's the weapon that this Indiana Pacers team is able to use so successfully. Look, it's well documented. Alan and I were a part of the Knicks series. And coming into this one, when we're asked to pick series, I go Thunder in 6, but I really battled with myself. Like, I didn't want to be a prisoner of the moment, having sat up close and personal to how good those Indiana Pacers were. I'm like, just don't be a prisoner of the moment. This is a historic defense. Your personal basketball philosophy is always rely on defense first. But I am not surprised that this series has been so competitive. And I think for me personally, and now it's like, well, if you get to a game 7 and it's close, who do you have more confidence in?
Right. Yeah, well, and then I would take the veteran team because the teams that have come back from 2-1 deficits, 3-1 deficits, they've been veteran teams. This is a young team. Now, they have dominated the league, but their youth is kind of starting to show in this series a little bit. And the inexperience of the head coach as well, Mark Dagnall, is starting to show a little bit as well. He blinked first by changing his lineup going into this series. Now, he does change his lineup throughout the season.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, that's your lineup. And what I want to see him do is go back to playing big.
Yeah.
He's going to need to. Isaiah Hartenstein is your best screener, and they are throwing one dog after another after SGA picking them up three-quarter court. They got to run into some hard screens. They got to feel those screens and get him free and get that offense freed up as well.
Pay attention to OKC in the second half. They looked tired at the end of game 3. Indiana's strategy, weaponized cardio. They're in better shape than anyone. They're going to run you into the ground, and as the series wears on, you might see the opponent get tired. Weaponized cardio.
That. We need a big important ball.
Yes.
You talked about the fresh bodies the Pacers have, and we've seen that now come to fruition in the past couple of games. All right,
you didn't want to address the weaponized
cardio?
No, because I want to get your best bet.
It's good hosting there. Tyrese Halliburton's assist number tonight is 8.5. It's gone up from 7.5 because we saw him drop 11 in game 3. I think we take advantage. We zigzag. We go the other way. 6 assists in game 1, 6 assists in game 2, but he explodes in game 3, so the bookmakers move the price up. Indiana had a great shooting night, their best of this series, 51% in game 3. I don't expect that to continue. That was the second best shooting performance anyone had put on OKC in 19 playoff games. When that number drops off, the assist number will drop. drop off as well. Halliburton under
I got to
8.5.
push back on one real quick because the Pacers have been one of the best shooting teams in the playoffs all year. So the one and two was that Thunder or were the Pacers just off? And once they got into rhythm shooting, they're a 40% from three team. They are a team that will beat you with those spray out passes, and that's all off of Halliburton passes. So that's something to watch in this game
Quick
as well.
closing
They make
remarks
big
going into
shots.
game 4.
Yeah, but I also will call out Halliburton's pattern just a bit in terms of, and I don't necessarily think he should be being crushed, but he tends to be a little zigzaggy.
Well, and he called the media out on that as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of weaponizing
People are doing
cardio,
basketball.
speaking of weaponizing cardio, I need you to weaponize your cardio, and thank God you're going over to Seaport. So
I knew that was coming too.
So
Thanks, everyone. It's great to be
weaponize
here.
your legs.
You're making a
Run over there. We'll see you coming up later. Coming up, one of the legends of the game, Magic Johnson, will tell you the iconic franchise that he believes is the perfect landing spot for Kevin Durant. Is he right? Plus, oh no, Joe. The Bengals are an absolute mess right now. What the actual heck is going on in Cincinnati? But first, a little sneaky hembo time for Graziano. Here we go. Which quarterback threw the most 40-yard